Welcome to Curiosity Rolled. Today, to help me with my nerdy curiosity, is Sally and Joe from the Much Ado About Nerding podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you guys today. This is the first time I've done the tech setup for more than one person at a time, so you are a groundbreaking interview for me. Thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Thank you for having us. We're doing great. Well, I'm doing great. Sorry, I don't mean to speak for
No,
myself.
you're good. Yeah. It's been an awesome morning thus far. We're learning a lot about the live aspect of this podcast thing that we all do.
Right? And right now it's just the video version. This will be uploaded later as a full-on podcast to the But this is just the what's it called, the simulcast. I think is the industry term or whatever. I don't know.
We're learning.
I've 3 years ago. I know all the radio shows that I now listen to that are on like terrestrial radio now have like podcast episodes of their regular show like uploaded after they go on live. I'm like, are you really a podcast? Like, is that the same thing? That's just on-demand radio, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You're the Netflix of radio. Thank you.
100%. I'm not against it because I don't listen to it live, so thank you. But I'm just saying that's I think the term podcast doesn't really mean what we think it means.
Yeah, I think it's an umbrella. I would say
100%.
I think it's evolving. It's a new tech. It's a new medium. It's a new medium for.
It's a Wild West.
Yeah, it still is.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. It's the one property that Apple didn't patent when it was coming up. That's why it's called a podcast because it was initially coded for iPods. Yeah, or iTunes, something like that. And so it was a form of recording media that was, hey, you can record this and it won't be live, but it's just audio. And they were like, there's no money in this, so they let it go public rather than hone it just for their devices. And that's what, instead of being called on demand, it's called pod. Yeah. And there you go. I'm a nerd. You're a nerd. We're all learning things because our brains collect unnecessary amounts of information.
Yeah,
yes, and never the information we need.
No.
But can never find like that one Lego piece when you really need it.
Well, I mean, I think that's when you've transcended to a different level. When you know where that one piece in the whole box or bucket or whatever you keep your Legos. You know where that red 4 brick is. It's in the bottom corner next to the dude's head, the pirate head.
That's right. And it's always there every time. You also, There's a spell you gotta cast. You gotta circle through the roughage 4 times counterclockwise before it hits that corner.
It's true.
Yes,
you gotta go
because you don't want to mess it up. You don't want to move it.
Exactly.
You don't want to move it.
Yeah. So you guys are awesome. I'm throwing you flowers not just because you're on my show, but that does help. I'm not gonna lie. But you guys have a show that is both of you, which is why you're both here. But it is a lovely variety show that covers many topics, and I've told you this off air, so hopefully you know it's genuine. You guys have a vibe that I relate to very hard. That is lots of, I mean this in the best way possible, nonsensical tangents. You're each of your episodes definitely has a thing that you came to talk about, and you definitely do talk about that thing. But there's a reason you have longer episodes, I think, and I think it's beautiful. Where did the idea of having what you're saying be recorded come from?
Joe, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So we're both, I mean, Much Ado About Nerding, of course. We're both huge nerds. We nerd about it. Our nerddoms are a Venn diagram, basically. It does cross over, but we are different on the nerd spectrum. Well, we both play D&D. I've been running D&D now for 4 years.
Nice.
5 years?
Yeah, I
6
think
years?
it's 5.
Shit, no, 6 years.
So you're pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Yes. And I would like to also say pre-Critical Role as well.
Oh, I am not pre-Critical Role. So you were pre streams. You actually found the book.
Well, dabbled in high school.
Okay.
Was a theater kid. Also played football, but stopped playing
Let me just
football.
throw in that football real quick.
Football.
Listen, one
but
doesn't
no,
have to quantify the other. All right, it's all about
Yeah,
interest and passion. That's all that matters.
Jocks Machina. But, dabbled with like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Hero Clicks in high school.
Oh, I love those.
Really liked D&D, but again, because of the stigma it was, I didn't let the other group of friends know that I was playing D&D. You know, graduated high school, went to the military, did that whole thing, went back into college after that, and then met little guy Daniel, who was open about how nerdy he was, and I was too, but it wasn't about the D&D. I hadn't played D&D since high school. He invited me over to play a couple sessions, and yeah, and then that's when he actually introduced me to Critical Role. He's like, they've been playing this campaign for like 3 years, and then I'm not talking any mess about Critical Role. I do love Critical Role, but yeah, pre-Critical Role. But to make a long story even longer, we played D&D together, and we used to have this ritual. We would go out for beers before D&D. We'd just go have a couple beers at the bar, and we'd switch up venues, and we would have these, like we were talking before we went live, we'd have these long conversations solving the world's problems and, you know, inventing time travel and and Sally just one day was just like, we should have a podcast. We should do a podcast. We should let everybody else know how funny and creative and smart we are. So we were just like, well, let's just talk about nerd stuff. Because we would have a lot of debates on, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. She's huge into Harry Potter. So we're like, oh, who's more powerful, Voldemort or Darth Vader? Darth Vader 100%. But yeah, that's how it started. To make a long story even longer, and then short at the end.
That was that I think perfectly illustrated time being a Jeremy Bearimy. So thank you for that. For funsies, Sally, what's your version of that story?
Ooh.
I love this.
I don't want you to agree with or contradict. I want to tell you your version of the same story in your words.
So I'm a more of a short and sweet kind of gal.
Okay.
We were at round 1 because they had $3 draft beers, which is ideal. And I want to say the actual day was National Beer Day, and Joe and I just like looked at each other, and we were both wearing red and green, and we both have Mario and Luigi tattoos for player 1, player 2. And I think we were obviously talking about some nerd stuff that day. And I did say, yeah, I think we should record this and put it on the internet because I think we're hilarious. And I think we have some really good points to share with the world. And from there, the pandemonium happened, and we made a podcast in the pandemonium.
I love it. That makes so much sense. I also love the nicknames that we all have for the time we don't talk about. I've heard on the Loomis podcast alone, we've had the Apocalypse, we've had the Thing We Will Not Mention, we've had the Panini, we've had there's been a number of
Yeah, I enjoy the pandemonium. I think the toilet paper pandemonium is my favorite one because why?
I was working in a large grocery store chain at that time. That was fun.
You can only imagine.
Man.
Only imagine.
I almost did a spit take for you. Holy
thank you.
That
That won't carry out to the audio portion, but everyone that watches the video will see it. That's good.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Do you guys choose a topic ahead of time that makes you want to come to the recording table, I guess, studio, whatever? Or is it more like, hey, we haven't talked in a while, let's sit down and chat?
We've tried.
Have you not talked about this yet? This is exciting. What's your process? Let's figure that out here today.
The process is Joe comes up with ideas, because and usually like now this month, I mean, we've got Ahsoka coming out, so we're gonna have to do like be on the lookout for just a little plug here. Be on the lookout for of all the Clone Wars episodes you need to watch in order to understand what's going on with Ahsoka, streaming on Disney Plus. Yeah, Disney Plus. But that's usually what we kind of look at what's going on in the world of the nerds, and kind of go off that. Or and, there's been times where Sally will like, hey, do you know what movie I just watched? And then blah blah blah, and we're like, we're gonna do an episode on it. I love that movie. So it's
Yay!
we have tried the wing it, and it does not. With how comfortable with each other, you would think that it would work, but it does not work.
No,
We need something to
it feels too
focus
forced.
on.
I agree. Not for you guys in general. I generally don't have, for example, pre-thought questions for us because my goal is not to have an interview; it's to have a conversation. But I also have a reason you're on the show, which is that you've inspired me. I'm into what you're doing, and there's enough like excitement in that energy that I don't need to know what I'm going to say before I just start blurting words out. However, if I had like a reoccurring guest host or a host with me, if I don't have a third line of like, here's the center point of what we might try to get back to at some point, we'll probably end up going only for about 20 minutes and not saying anything because there's nowhere for the conversation to go. And I think it's that third line that creates the kind of like, not homeostasis, the flow state of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Where like, because like at the bar, like we mentioned, it's the thing after the thing, right? It's you go there after the softball game, you go there after playing D&D or whatever. Like so you have a thing, or you're. I'm a big fan of movie first then dinner, not the other way around, because now you have something to talk about. There's a common thing. You don't spend the whole time talking about that thing, but you have like if silence befalls the group, or if you're like feeling like you have a different point you never got back into. It's not cutting someone off to then drop back into the point of the conversation. So I totally agree. I also think the more of a skeleton you have, the better you have opportunity you have for improv and jokes, because you kind of know where you can return to. This is my thing with role-playing games. I prefer crunchier systems because the more things I know on paper that I can or cannot do, the more I can color outside the lines without breaking rules. So and honestly, it comes down to the group I'm playing with. But because if I'm playing with a bunch of people that also just bounce ideas off each other, I don't need rules. We'll just tell the story and roll dice whenever we want. But if the more rigid the system is, the more I can trust that there's a thing the DM will tell me to do when it comes up, rather than me having to worry about it myself. So not that was what you were thinking, but I 100% agree with what you were saying.
You need something to latch onto to build the meat and the gristle and the fat and put those on the bones, and that's the fun.
Yep.
The bones usually aren't the fun. It's all the delicious meat.
Yeah. So I would even drop in. You mentioned like the podcast is named for nerding out, and you generally talk about nerdy subjects, but you don't just talk about nerdy subjects. Like I mean, in the flow of conversation, you're basically talking about things in and around your life and experiences and I think that's one, again, all the flowers. One thing that I really gravitated towards was it's not so much an information conversation. It's not a third line of checkpoints of here's the review of this thing. It's more we saw this thing and also this happened in my day. And I respect that to the umpteenth degree.
Yeah, it's definitely, we try to get, and Joe's really good about this, giving the information needed, like kind of giving the synopsis of the movie or the book or whatever we're doing that day, and then it's like you said, the tangents are the fun part. I'm not saying, Joe, that your parts aren't fun, right? But I think that it's fun building off of that and kind of just like, especially when he spits facts that I had no idea. I was like, oh my god, let's just talk about that for a second. We need to break
Right?
that down,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So, it's fun, and then it's always fun to have to wrangle him in when it's tangents. He just
Yes,
goes off
definitely.
on tirades, and I have to reel him back in. So that's always fun.
Like
But
last
so
night.
so you use fun in the same way I use fun as a personal trainer. Fun actually means hard fucking work. Whenever I'm with a client and I'm like, look, here's a new exercise. It'll be fun. They know it means it's gonna fucking suck.
Yeah, you're actually
at
gonna
the
want to
end-
die.
The fun comes from the satisfaction at the end,
Yeah.
where your legs are shaking and you're pouring sweat, and you're like, that was fun. No.
Was it, or is it that you survived and your adrenaline's pumping and you didn't die? Let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
you can experience euphoria from getting away from a bear attack. Was that fun?
Yeah.
Was that really?
But it made you
It's a
feel
fun
alive.
story. Right?
Yeah.
Got a
Yep.
dope story out of it.
100%.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yay!
Finger guns.
I think that's an important lesson for a lot of people. Whether you think you're creative or not, whether you think anyone's going to listen or not, I think it's important to explore things for the sake of them being enjoyable and fun. I have two thoughts that are exploding simultaneously in my brain.
Shoot. Both.
Have you guys, and I apologize, I believe I'm up to date in your episodes, so if I missed, I'm wrong. Have you guys, or were you planning to do a Barbenheimer episode? You can say no, it's okay.
Well, no, well, we had this conversation last night. I'm gonna wait till it's streaming.
You
I
haven't
have
seen
heard
it
great
yet?
Things. No,
Okay.
I have not. Either one.
Okay, that's fine.
And yeah, I've heard great things, but it's just kind of like I'm not really. I know how Oppenheimer ends, and
Right?
the Barbie movie. I'm like, this is a cool concept. I was actually really interested in the movie when they released the opening scene where it's basically shot for shot 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
With little girls instead of
Yep.
apes.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, so this isn't just a money grab.
Yeah.
Advertising for Barbie. It's got something more. But yeah, not interested enough to go see people out in public without an alcoholic beverage in my hand.
I understand.
But yeah, but we probably will.
Yeah. I just a lot of film nerdy pop culture podcasts have covered that tend to do film reviews have covered both in the same episode because of the media blitz that they've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just curious if that was in your pipeline. Also, if you're not doing an episode, it means we can kind of sort of talk about it, and I'm not taking away from something you've already recorded, so that's cool. But in that spot where I thought the episode was going to be that, you dropped a Twisted Metal episode. And I don't think you know how excited that made me. You were already invited on this. Listen, you had been on my radar. I think the first episode that I listened to the episode that made me invite you on the podcast was your dad joke episode.
Okay. Yeah.
Which made my wife very mad. In the most loving way possible. Let's be honest. But that was like I listened to that and sent you the invite. And I think that was like a month ago or more.
Something like that. Yeah.
But so you were already invited at the time that you dropped the Twisted Metal episode. But Twisted Metal was a show that I remember the game briefly a little bit. And I remember at this point because my nerdy curiosity also comes with parasocial attachment. So when I find someone where like the person in it is why I liked it, I now backtrack through things they've been in, or like drop everything to find something new they're in whenever it starts. I got really mad at was it Doom Patrol when they used shoot, I forget his name. The guy that played Neil Caffrey in White Collar. What's his name?
Ooh, didn't watch that one.
Damn it.
I was gonna say, give me something else. I'm usually pretty good with names.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in. Chuck for a little bit. He was like the main roommate rival of Chuck. That
I was
like
gonna say Zachary Levi, but no.
no, it was the other guy. The roommate that
Yeah.
like was a spy but no one knew and like set him up and got him kicked out of Stanford. Uh, I forget his name. Anyway, he is a very talented, very beautiful human being, and they made him play the Invisible Man, covered in mummy wraps the entire time. So I was there for the show, but like you're using him wrong. Anyway,
Well,
I
think that's a meta joke, the same way as in Deadpool when the Invisible Dude ended up being Brad Pitt.
yeah, exactly, same
Aside
thing.
from Ryan Reynolds, he was probably
Yeah.
the only movie set he's ever been on. He's the second
Prettiest person.
most handsome.
Exactly.
On set. So,
but
I
so
just
that's
love that meta joke.
Oh, totally, 100%. But so I'm the same way with Anthony Mackie. So when I saw the end, I was pumped that Samoa Joe was playing the body double. I was bummed it wasn't Bray Wyatt. I thought that would have been really awesome. Because you wouldn't have needed the voiceover. I didn't know how the show would work. I was excited for Anthony Mackie to basically play Ryan Reynolds in a movie. Like that was basically what he was doing. And it was also on Peacock, which is the streaming service. People go, "What's it? You mean the animal? What is that? I don't understand."
Right.
It's also because it's $5 and has the WWE Network on it now. The only stream service I'm actually paying money for right now. So when an original series on this tiny Peacock thing popped up that I had to watch because it was something new that I was now really excited for, turned out to be accidentally good, and there's someone talking about it, I got really, really excited. I don't want to go super into it because you have an episode and everyone, one, you should have the Peacock app because it's fucking $5, but two, they also have Poker Face, which is a fantastic show if you have not watched. Highly recommend. We'll get into that then. It's a show. Twisted Metal was a show in which it had no expectations and no reason for being as good as it was. And there was Easter eggs for people that wanted Easter eggs. There was lore for people that wanted lore. There was a really good story that had a very slow burn that I think people that like movies for story would enjoy. Highly recommend. But if you don't take my word for it, watch their episode, please, or listen. You can't see anything; it's audio. But listen to that episode because even though they were already slated to be on the show, it made me love them even more. Okay, that was yeah.
Appreciate that.
But I expected that episode to be about either Barbenheimer or one of those two movies, and I was so refreshed that my niche nerddom hit the same time at the same wavelength as yours. That was really exciting.
Yes, we love
We
that.
actually recorded the week before. We recorded a Twisted Metal video game episode.
Awesome.
But I got off too early from work and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a little loose for the show, go over my notes." And well, a little too loose turned into a lot too loose. And really, what it was for me, it's not the fact that you can tell that I'm intoxicated during this episode. I started cursing a lot. Not at anybody, but dropping a lot of F-bombs, and that kind of embarrassed the heck out of me while I was editing. So that one's only a Patreon episode. It might be released to the general public sometime later.
It's totally fair.
But yeah,
I will say that like I think random cursing is part of properly playing video games. So
God, yes. Couldn't agree more.
yeah. Okay. So you guys have not seen Poker Face.
No.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Can't say that I
Okay,
have.
that's totally fine. Have you seen either Knives Out or Glass Onion?
God, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Both
it's
them.
the same style of show by the same producers and writing team, but it's a show, not a movie. So it's the type of movie or whodunit show in which everything on screen is never an accident, but you can't tell where or why or when.
Love it.
So it has a little bit of like, what is it, Gumbo? Is that not Gumbo, the detective show?
Columbo.
Columbo,
No,
thank
not
you.
Columbo. Yeah, it is Columbo.
Yeah. It has a little bit of that in which like the the clues you learn with the protagonist along the way, so you can kind of piece the puzzle together. But it also has like uh, really just fun characters. Each episode is a new accidental mystery, and my favorite adventure trope is the regular person thrust into extraordinary circumstances. So like my version of that is always Arthur Dent from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where it's like a dude in a bathrobe and suddenly you're in space. But in this case, it's a casino worker who lives in a trailer park but has really great cognitive skills that allow her to tell when people are lying. And she is hiding in Las Vegas, or not like Las Vegas, Atlantic City, I think. One of the two. Because she got in trouble with that gift. And then it turns out people found her and she has to go on the run. And it's her basically being on the run, finding certain situations where people are lying, and having a compulsion to solve why people are lying before she can move on.
Huh.
And it is. Have you ever watched? I'm dating myself. Have you ever watched Lie to Me from years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
it
wasn't didn't watch it religiously, but yeah. I'd seen
Yeah.
It.
So it has that mixed with the solve the mystery yourself. It is fantastic. It is like you watch an episode trying to look at everything and be like, when's that going to come back? When's this going to pop up? There's a plank of wood that's in focus. Someone's going to step on it. Someone's going to trip over it. Like what? I highly recommend it. It is. I think we had already gotten the Peacock app at that point because the WWE Network merged for like $2, I think. But that was the show after we watched Glass Onion, and they were like, from Ryan Johnson. I think it's Ryan Johnson. I was like, oh, this is the same thing, just yeah. And so there's the third plot line from beginning to end, but each episode is a new, like, while she's on the run, she's in a new part of the country with new people. And I highly recommend it.
You've definitely piqued my interest.
It's not you don't binge it. You have to watch it one episode at a time, because you watch you binge it, but you binge it in a number of days, because you watch an episode and you go, oh wait, what happened? How did that happen? And then like you rewind it, or you talk about it, or you're like, what does this mean for the next episode? And like it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
All right, yeah.
Highly recommend.
I'm in it.
Again, after I'm done watching the Clone Wars.
Yeah, totally understand. Yeah. Sorry, that was my rant, but that was all to say. I was very happy about you doing a Twisted Metal episode. I have not seen it anywhere else, so kudos. I've been talking for a long time. So what? Where are you in you're about to watch the Clone Wars? What are you guys taking in? What's piquing your curiosity right about now?
Right now, I'm going through. I'm not watching every episode, but I'm trying to go through and find the Ahsoka-centric episodes.
Oh, fair.
And not just the Clone Wars, because now I got to go through Rebels. 'Cause that's Rebels. Rebels is where Ahsoka turns into that bat. She is that chick. She turns into a badass, and I know, and really, I'm kind of taking it to heart because Sally has not watched the Clone Wars or Rebels. She's not huge into Star Wars, but I do think, again, not to pander, but like, you know, the strong female protagonist. Sally's obviously all about that, and I'm like, no, I think you would really love Ahsoka. Ahsoka Tano is she's like, I don't know, because like my top 3 favorite Jedi: Obi-Wan, Yoda, and then I'm like, well, technically Ahsoka's not a Jedi, but we're just gonna go Force user. I'm like, I don't know. Who does she knock out to be my favorite? Because there's been times watching that stuff that I'm like, no, she's the greatest Jedi of all time.
Yeah,
she's great.
No, and I definitely feed off of that. I think obviously when Joe's very passionate about something, if either of us are very passionate about something, we'll text each other immediately after we watch it or after we read it, or we'll send each other things on Instagram, like about new horror movies coming out, because we're really big into horror. And I thoroughly enjoy, and I think when you said that you kind of like our vibe that we give off, I really think it's because we are passionate, and I think that when one of us is passionate about something, the other one just feeds off of that one. So we're just like, yeah, hyping each other up. So whenever Joe is very passionate about something, i.e., Star Wars and specifically Ahsoka, because obviously he knows me really well, I get excited. I'm like, yeah, give me the episodes. I will watch them and we'll have a great conversation just because he's so into it. So I'm stoked about it. I really liked her little bit that I saw in The Mandalorian. So learning more, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Sally? What's on your radar? What's in the back of your mind?
I mean, it seems like it's going to be a pretty decent horror, like spooky season. I think it's gonna be a really good time for horror. Just saw Talk to Me that came out. I love A24. It's one of my favorite production studios.
They're quickly gaining a lot of good steam.
Yeah. I definitely am a big fan of A24. So I went to go see Talk to Me. There's was it not Goodbye David? Anyway, that David story. Dear David.
Man.
Very stoked about that. But yeah, I'm really hyped up about this spooky season. I think it's gonna be pretty rad.
And it won't be this spooky season, but they just got greenlit for a 13 Ghosts series.
Oh, nice.
That is one of my favorite underrated horror movies. Yeah, it's a ghost story with monsters, and I love that.
Awesome.
But yeah, are you familiar with Dear David? The story?
I'm not. Please inform me and any of the one people listening.
The tens and tens of fans.
The single digits.
So Dear David was a ARG that came out on Twitter, and it was basically this guy tweeting different paranormal experiences he's been having. He's seeing this little boy ghost with a dented head that kind of just like sits in his room and whatnot. And through a series of tweets and there's multiple YouTube videos explaining the whole, like, it took like 2 years for him to tell the story of how Dear David haunts you, and then but to see why he's there, you can only ask him 3 questions. And
D&D rules.
Question. He like on the 4th one, that's when he decides to kill you. And yeah, it's super creepy. When I was not super into like the internet and what ARGs were, Sally was. She had to tell me, she's like, dude, this isn't real. Like this whole thing. What was it? Marble Hornets was another thing.
Marble Hornets, Sally
turned me on to, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? And she had to talk me off the ledge and say, this isn't real, dude. Get with the times. And I was like, I don't internet, man. I don't.
I have a couple thoughts off of what was just said, and I'm wondering which direction to go in. I'm going to start with... Nope, we're going to go random. All right. Because this is how my brain works. You mentioned the ghost child giving you 3 questions, and after that deciding to kill you. If you bump into a genie, what are your 3 wishes? You cannot ask for infinite wishes. You cannot, I believe, bring someone back from the dead, and you cannot ask for love. Are the 3 genie rules, I believe.
Okay. Got to do my thinking dance.
Hey, there's a video, so...
I think it would be probably ownership of a very lucrative company. Something like... because, I mean, then you're automatically rich, and you have all these assets, and the money's not going to run out.
Right.
So I think that would probably be my first one. And then after that, I would probably be rude and just keep the genie around until I needed him again.
Yeah.
Like that.
Put him in your bag of holding until further notice.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'll be fun here. Wolverine's powers.
Ooh.
Like the whole and the whole thing.
The like scaled up to basically being immortal, or like the comic book heals fast version.
Basically immortal. We've
Okay.
had this conversation before. If I could live forever, I'd live forever.
You're
Nice.
I think
gross.
I think
I
it would
don't
be
understand
fun
that.
to see where humanity goes, or just stops, and then I could go find some other race to go live with. But
I will
I mean, I can
agree
make
with,
new friends.
yeah. You know what? I used to think that, but I don't go out anymore. So, and I stubbornly refuse to let people of forced acquaintance become friends unless we actually have
Oh, God, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. That is the biggest lesson I learned from the pandemonium was how many people were in my life purely because of coincidence and like ease, not because they brought value. We had like an exchange of value, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got on the same page around the same time you did. Just cut those people out that weren't, serving anything in my life. So
Well, I mean, it's a lot easier when like most of them are. It's like the what is it on from Parks and Rec, workplace proximity acquaintances or whatever. Like, like yes, we see each other 40 hours a week. We make small talk. We can be polite. That doesn't mean we have to have a relationship that has us getting beers after work. That's not the same
yeah.
thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I like that. That's two. So you gave me 3 wishes. Those all 3.
Well, the third one I'd probably save. till the
Okay,
end.
yeah.
Maybe if I was immortal, I could tell the genie, like, okay.
Oh,
I
the
guess
immortal
I
thing.
can't wish for death.
I
I don't want to be immortal anymore. So.
I like the immortal thing if it doesn't if as long as I'm not the sole person that's immortal. Because the curse of immortality is watching everything you ever care about routinely die. Or pass you by. So there's and the brain aneurysm of remembering everything. Those are the 2 things.
I
But
didn't
so
even think
if
about that.
so if as long as whether it's paired with someone I believe myself to be bonded with forever, like my wife, or some version of thing where like me continuing to grow also means someone else alongside me can continue to grow in their own way, I'm okay with that. If it's literally just me, the curse would be too much at some point. But I like
Yeah.
that. All right.
That's why keep the genie so I could take away my second wish.
I love it. Sally.
Ooh. So I don't know. I feel like mine are gonna feel a little like generic, but I would want to make sure that my parents are taken care of, like no stress about money or anything like that. I'd want to make sure that my dad can finally retire basically, and that they can enjoy the grandkids. But that would probably be my first wish. My second wish would probably be that my brother's taken care of. As happy as that sounds.
So you're okay. I have a further idea to this fun game we're playing. After I go, we're gonna realize that the genie's actually a monkey's paw, and we get to pull at the logic of each wish we made.
Ooh.
Okay, so you very specifically said your parents taken care of, which means he would not have been taken care of, and then said him. That's 2 separate wishes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have one more.
I'd probably put like 150K in my savings account just for like later
I like it.
when I'm old. And then that would probably be my wishes. Very like not flamboyant in any
This
way.
is why she's the ultimate. That's why I think she's a character. She's not. Selena's not a real person.
I'm an
That's
NPC.
the Hufflepuff. That's the Hufflepuff answer. Oh,
You know what? I respect that only because I'm a Ravenclaw. So.
All right.
Slytherin.
Oh no.
I
All
know.
day.
Okay, that was fun. Okay.
No, yours.
I like
your
this.
3
Yeah, mine. Okay. My third wish. I don't want to pretend that I'm copying Joe, but I am going to hold on to my third wish. But I have a very specific reason. It's it's my antidote to the not being able to wish for a million wishes. But basically, I remember reading years ago a parable of, I think it was an Eastern parable of a story of like a woman that gets stuck with a trickster dragon, who, same idea. You have these many wishes. They can get you out of any situation whenever you're stuck. But after the third one, I'm gone. And what's unbeknownst to this person is that the dragon's a monster, not a helper. So it sucks your will to do things on your own with each wish. And at the end, it leaves you high and dry, and you have no will of doing anything on your own.
Mm.
So it's not like the monkey's paw where it pulls at the strings of your wish. It's literally just like the more you rely on it, the more you no longer have the skills to continue once you can't make wishes. It's kind of the idea of the story. And this woman doesn't know it, and she defeats the monster by never asking for a single wish, because she keeps going, you know what? I have this just in case. Let me see if I can get out of it. People like the people, the nearby militia tries to like take her farm. Her family gets mad at her. She can't find love. These are things that she's going through. She goes from being like a middle, like a good prime age individual, to being like on her deathbed, and the entire time she's like, I could, but let me see if I can do it this way, or let me see if I can do it this way. And she's on her deathbed, and the monster's withering and weak. And it's like, you never wished. Why didn't you wish? And it's like, if I wished, then I never get to learn how to get there.
Yeah.
So she actually ends up killing the monster because she dies without wishing. And that story has me believe that I want one in my pocket so I can edge myself into not using it. Basically, like I want the kind of like the forced deadline thing. I want that wall of, if I use this wish, I can never use it again. It's the same reason I don't have a tattoo, but in reverse. If I get this tattoo, I'm gonna in 5 minutes I'm gonna want a different one in the same spot for a different reason. And if I can't make that choice, I can't make that choice. So if I can't make a wish that doesn't make me want another wish, I can't make a single wish. So that's my third one. Is I'm holding on to a wish for that reason.
All right.
My first actual wish would probably be okay. The freedom of my expenses and ability to live in the society and the world, to not be tied to money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not.
Like you worded that. Yeah.
It's not that I don't do work. It's not that I don't necessarily have a job. It's not that I have an amount in my bank account. It's that the ability to have shelter, have a place to go, have stuff to do, is not tied to paying for that stuff, like on a third party part of existence, which is money.
Mm-hmm.
That's wish number one. Wish number two is probably going to be the portal hopping teleportation.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with what's his face, Nightcrawler. So like I'm popping into a third party dimension to pop into a space that I can see or envision, however far away. That's my third one.
That's
I
a really
like
good one.
it.
That's actually
I
a really
like
good
it.
one.
I like how both of you went with superpowers, and I'm like,
And we both went with X-Men.
It's true.
We did. I think because the X-Men has from a power standpoint, Stan Lee at his peak. What about this as an entire character arc? So there's a dude that only has rubber fingers. That could be a mutant power. That's yeah.
Oh,
That was
Stanley.
Which is why I think. That's why I think the Fantastic Four has never had a good movie, is because I think Mr. Fantastic. I think it on the big screen in comic books it makes sense. He can stretch. Oh, okay, whatever. But when you see it live action, him doing it, it just looks ridiculous.
It does. It's also tied. He also is like one tied for like the second or first or third smartest person in the entire universe, which is a power in and to itself, which helps in the comics. I think the thing that doesn't work with the Fantastic Four in today's age is that it's built around the idea of the nuclear family, and I think a lot of people don't.
Oh yeah.
I think the found family story within superhero stories makes more sense from how we exist nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, except for
I
when
definitely...
Mr. Fantastic got spaghetti noodled in Multiverse of Madness. That was cool.
That was
God,
awesome.
I'm not gonna that whole scene kind of, and I love violent movies. I love the gristle, the gore. I love slasher movies. That like kind of like shook me up a bit. The way, and I think it's mostly
the
it
whole
wasn't even
middle
Mr.
sequence.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When what's his name? When she basically got rid of his mouth and he
Yeah, so he couldn't do her power. Yeah. Straight out of the Matrix.
Oh god. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that's the thing, and I think not just the nuclear family thing, but I do think that if they had Reed Richards just focus more on being a really smart dude and less on the stretchy, I think it would work better.
Because he's
also,
more.
Doctor Doom.
It's not.
I love Doctor.
Listen, Doctor Doom in the story wise, along with Lex Luthor, and I'm gonna say Vincent D'Onofrio's version of the Kingpin, are villains in which you side with them until the climax of the story. Like there's like in the first season of Daredevil, there is up until the point in which Vincent's or Kingpin is giving the speech about where he realizes he's in in the Sumerian parable. Both parties are basically equally wrong, because you're hearing the hero of the story is always from their perspective, and you're seeing both of their perspectives as like both of them are trying to like fix what they think is broken in their version of society in their neighborhood, and they're doing it in very violent but different reasons for violent. And one is ends justify the means. One is like no one responds to criminals respond to this in this manner. And you get to a point at which you think the Daredevil, in a way, is the bad guy because of Vincent D'Onofrio's performance. And then he snaps and he goes, "Oh no, I'm so wrong. But I like it. I'm wrong for society, but I'm right for me." And that's when he becomes the bad guy. All three of them are highly intelligent, have great nuance, Doctor Doom included. Doctor Doom is the ruler of a self-created nation. That is fantastic. I love that. Like, he can both be a world-dominating villain and just leave me the fuck alone. Like, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Doom.
Awesome. Okay.
See him.
Yeah. Well, they never have him as the ruler of a nation that doesn't exist. That would work if they did a Fantastic Four series, not a movie. I think, because there's so much to that.
Oh yeah.
Or if you did like Marvel, come pay us for this idea. Because you love your little miniseries, do a Disney miniseries of what's the name of Latvia, right? That's the name of his country. Do a Latvia miniseries, the coming up of that nation, as like a prequel that unleashes Doctor Doom as a character that leads to the Fantastic Four movie. There you go.
And I think it would be great because you could do it after the fall of the Soviet Union, when
everybody
make new countries, and everybody loves a nostalgia grab. So you can go back to the '90s.
Honestly, with today's political climate, you could go with the reimagining of resources in that area right now. Like that's
actually, yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
But then there's less Beastie Boys in the soundtrack.
Yeah, but they've done that a number of that's. I'm not saying anything negative about the Beastie Boys. I'm saying there was like the same three Beastie Boys songs were in like the Star Trek movie, Marvel movies, and like there's they fit perfectly, but also like, yeah.
No, I get that.
But I think it would also everybody from the '90s, it had to be the Beastie Boys.
I don't know why the Beastie Boys. but I also think it would be really fun to explore that era in like Eastern Europe,
Yeah.
because they loved American pop culture, but it was illegal to
Yeah.
enjoy American pop culture. So I mean, you could even have like Doctor Doom coming up as a guy who's selling like Levi's on the like smuggling in Levi's.
Exactly. And that builds him up as
400
someone who's
rupees.
smart and as a entrepreneur, and like that makes that relatable 100%.
Yeah.
That I had, this is semi-related, I swear, just like everything else has been. I had for a very small period of time, I had a room. My wife and I had a roommate. Well, as we subletted a spot in our apartment. Long story, doesn't matter. But he was from Awanas. Shit, I'm gonna sound so stupid.
You're right.
He was from the Middle East, but not Iraq, or Afghanistan or Pakistan. And he was in on a student visa. Family. He had a wife and 2 kids, but they couldn't come until he got enough credits or got enough proof of being in school, and then the U.S. could legally get them from one country to the other. And he was staying with us like after just landing, and from where he lived, alcohol was like death penalty for drinking, purchasing, or whatever.
Wow.
But they have speakeasies that are literally underground bunkers where the military used to house stuff. They do comedy shows because there's no public speech in bomb shelters.
Wow.
Yeah, and so his favorite whiskey was Chivas Regal because it went for $200 a bottle. And he was like, "This is top shelf," and I was like, "I mean, if you're paying $200, it counts as top shelf. But also, this is rubbing alcohol. I don't know what you're talking about."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's good though. I love that they're like, let's have some fun in this war.
There's a strong, I would call, punk rock underground culture on that within that side of the geography sphere that I messed up horribly, and I'm so sorry. I'm not smart. I have a lot of information in my head that doesn't matter. That was one that did matter, and I got it wrong. I'm pretty sure. I'm sorry.
No, I'm the same way. You're good. You're with good company here.
Okay. So we have all made 3 wishes. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we're gonna do this in, I'm gonna say, apples to apples rules. So like, we have one of us gets to judge the other side of the room. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this isn't for being better or worse or more right or wrong, but like one of us like goes over the 3 wishes the other 2 made and picks holes in the logic. Who wants to go first? Who wants to be the judging party?
I mean, I'll go with my brothers because I'll give you shit for this all day, my guy.
You also get to make fun of me. Don't be shy. That's okay.
Oh yeah, no.
No, it's her favorite pastime to be mean to me.
That's fair.
Everybody says, "Oh, he's so nice." I'm like, not to me.
All right, now, the basic rules of this game are that we're going on the logic of the wording of what was said. So feel free to ask for what was said in the wish. We might not get the exact wording, but do not change the context of anything that is said when asked for clarification.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Feel like you're looking at me pretty hard on that one.
Well, you volunteered first.
Yeah.
No. I'm just saying for my wishes.
Oh.
So, living forever. How is there not?
That's not the wish. That's not the wish.
Okay, what was the wish?
Not the wish. The wish was to have Wolverine's powers.
That's true.
Which could lead to immortality.
Which I did clarify, which led to this game. So.
Okay. So, does that include the adamantium poisoning?
Well, that's not. Now you have to ask: Wolverine comic book or Wolverine in the on the big screen?
That I'm gonna argue that
right.
Because there are 1,000 different versions of a character. Unless that character has been specified, we can pull logic from any version of the multiverse.
Okay. But also, I said Wolverine's powers, so that I'm doing bone claws. I don't have the adamantium skull.
Okay.
Oh, that's fair. Adamantium
fair.
is not one of his powers. It was artificially enhanced. Okay.
Okay. You got it. And then your first wish was
To own a very successful company, Twitter,
there's
Facebook, whatever,
Well,
and just like be stupid rich and have money continue to grow. And
so does that come with like the fame and everything with it? Like the digging into your past and listening to our past episodes of the podcast?
I guess you could do that.
Oh, then you're getting canceled immediately.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was gonna say once you brought that up, I'm like, oh, getting canceled.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, if Elon hasn't yet, I don't think I would.
True. All right, and then your third wish, I can't really loophole that one. I don't know.
Not wishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my critique. That's my clarification needed, please, sir.
So basically, I become in this Monkey Paw episode, I become super famous. They drag up some old unedited versions of our episode. I get canceled for saying something stupid, and then they find out that I have
Dude,
weird powers.
they would find out you've lived 1,000 years.
Yeah.
You'd have to keep reinventing which company you own at some point because.
Well, I think that would be easy. Well, maybe not
Oh,
easy, but
hold on. I'm trying to make it easier for you. I get to dig into you now. Hold on. Okay. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Sally, you get to make fun of me first. Then I'll go back to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you do both of us, then I'll do both of you, and then I get it.
Okay. Your first wish. Remind me.
My first wish was the clarification of why I'm also not using my third wish.
Clarification of why you're not using your third.
I'm holding on to my last wish to edge myself with the ability to not need a wish. So
Man,
yeah,
you're making this hard on me. Making this
yep.
difficult. Oh,
This is not the first time I've had this conversation around a bar solving the world's problems. Okay, listen. I've had too much time to think about it. My second one was having the freedom to exist without the need of money.
Okay, so I mean, same could be said about people without homes. They're existing. They don't necessarily have the means to buy things. So that could be.
Yeah, I did specify that I would be able to have shelter, but that doesn't mean I have an address. That's
That's true. Yeah. You're.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. You're just existing.
I am
It's not
existing.
A positive experience or a negative experience. But...
That's very true. I tried to. I don't know if I specified it correctly though. I tried to specify that it is existing within society, in hopes that would keep me from being stuck in the woods by myself or living on the sidewalk. But if I did not word that correctly, I could still end up in a box. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I would go opposite. So you have, you're financially stable. You don't have to worry about money. A standard flow of income. World financial collapse. You are the only person with things, and everybody else comes in and takes your things.
Ooh.
That is actually in every version of that story. That is 100% what happens. I'm the first person to die in the. Sorry, we are in the post-apocalypse of a certain time, but in the event of a movie version of the apocalypse, I am the first person in the scenario. I'm the first person to die because people value the resources I gathered, not the skills I offer. So I die in collateral damage of what I produced, not what I can do. I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. Damn it. The last power I had was the teleportation, specifically third dimension hopping or third party dimension hopping to create teleportation, which might help me avoid capture in the apocalypse.
That is actually true.
But it has to be a place you can see, and obviously with Nightcrawler,
or properly visualize.
Or have been.
Yeah.
Or have been there.
So like it's like D&D rules.
Yeah.
But here's the fun fact that you guys don't know about me. I can't visualize stuff.
What?
I don't
So you
have
just have pictures in there?
Yeah, I don't have pictures. I have a thought monologue, and I have emotions, and I have parasympathetic holding patterns. But I don't see things within pictures in my head. Which is I've learned since the pandemic is a thing. That and then on one of my last 3 episodes, my guest mentioned, so like when you see an apple, you're one of the people that sees a shadow with an outline, and I go, yes, that's 100%. Like I can't see color in my mind. I can't see imagery in my mind. I can like when I write, I get the same emotions that I would have if I was living the experience, because it's that is what I understand, and my artistic creativity comes from trying to find what I'm experiencing and put it into the world, because I can't see it.
Interesting. So let me ask you this: when you dream, is it
I don't dream.
You don't dream?
No. I don't remember dreams in the way you think of what dreams feel like. So I don't have episodes of this crazy thing happened and I'm going to tell you about it. I do, like, if you put electrodes to my head, my brain will tell you that I am dreaming. I'm not denying science. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But so for example, you know that feeling of when you accidentally have a nap and you can feel yourself go from thinking like this is comfy to like lucidly feeling like you're kind of in syrup or kind of like in a liquid state. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's all of my dreams. I don't get past that point. So every single version of me dreaming is feeling like I'm lying in bed, but also kind of high. Now, my wife will attest that I'll mime in my sleep. I'll murmur in my sleep. So I experience things, but it's 100% sympathetic. It's emotions, thought patterns that I'm experiencing, not me visually seeing anything take place. So the best thing, so it either feels like I fall asleep and wake up asleep, or 3 weeks after being asleep, I'll tell a story. I'll look for something that I'm pretty sure I own that was in a dream I didn't remember, and I'll never be able to find it. So that's how I dream.
That's so interesting. I think I've never met anybody who doesn't like visualize things, in a vivid manner.
Yeah, this is what I've learned is through my neurodivergence and nerdy curiosity. Most people don't. It's not just that there's so many different versions of neurodiversity out there. It's that most people, from a literal point, can't fathom the world operating in a way other than our brain operates, because it's literally how we're wired. So I only learn that I can't visualize by other people describing how they visualize. Which, to your point of like needing different styles of people around you, I would never know that if I didn't have my wife digging into her creativity from a storyteller as being like, I have this clear image of the story, like a movie in my head. I'm just putting the pieces into words. I go, how? Or like my dad when he's doing mental math and literally storing 3-dimensional boxes with like extra numbers in them that he can see in clear color. What? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And it's not that my memory's worse or different. It's literally
Yeah.
just yeah. Uh, and I think so for most people, and there's a whole. The reason I started looking at this is because I learned that there are people that don't have an internalized thought monologue. They just
Hmm.
walk around, and I was like, isn't that what we're trying to achieve when we meditate? Like that's
Right. Yeah.
and
100%.
right? My understanding is that people that don't have a thought monologue don't know they don't have a thought monologue
Hmm.
because you've never like. It's not that when they speak, they're not thinking of things to say. It's that when they're not actively thinking, they're not actively like consciously using language to feel the
Yeah.
world around them.
Yeah.
It also explains why people tend to respond emotionally instead of logically. Like I think if you're someone who's has to turn on the language part of your brain before it starts working, I think there's a little bit of like animalistic response that comes first. So that makes sense
Mhm.
to me. But that
Mhm.
learning that made me dive into I know my brain works differently, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
So I
No.
think there's a bunch of people who don't actually visualize that don't know they don't visualize, and it's like it's not that like I can't. I have two reasons for why meditation doesn't work for me. It does, but like one is sitting still for a clear mind. I have a running monologue.
Mhm.
So for me, it's not getting the monologue to stop. It's getting the monologue to crystallize and provide context so I can use it.
Yeah.
The other is I can't do follow along meditation because I can't see the things that are asked to be followed along. I can't picture the beach by the waves that's calming me down.
Mm,
Hmm.
it's so interesting. I know I saw a TikTok about people who don't have the internal monologues, but I had
Yeah,
never heard anything about, the
No visualization.
visualization.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and I see color just fine. Like I'm not colorblind. I don't have other visual impairments. It's literally the wiring within my consciousness that's different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a trip. Like
Yep,
dope.
100%.
Like
Yeah, but also I needed you to have that context and fairness of the game because I have to visualize where I'm going with my teleportation power.
well, there you go. That's your loophole. I'm so sorry. We went
And
on
see,
this
I was
huge
gonna go.
tangent.
I was gonna say, um, with your power, not having um, the full knowledge of the multiverse and whatnot, your pocket dimension that you bamf into first and then bamf out of, is it's a universe of 5 dimensions, and you being only a 3-dimensional creature,
100%.
that messes you up. So the first time you use it, you're gone.
Right.
You cease to exist because you're in a 5th dimension.
I don't have the power to perceive more than 3 dimensions though.
That yeah okay
So
yeah yeah
like
that's
if I'm right now existing in a 3 dimensional universe, but the universe itself is capable of more dimensions. I already can't perceive that, so that doesn't change. But
yeah
it
that's
is
true.
specifically Nightcrawler's version of teleportation, and he goes to the same universe every time, which is literally hell.
Yeah he does. So
Yeah,
okay, so this time you get snatched up by Satan, and
100%.
there it is. Done.
And I think there
Yeah,
is
that's
a
why it smells
thing.
like sulfur.
Yeah, and I think there is a thing that like there's time dilation, so like every time he pops, it's like 3 hours in hell, and then he pops out 2 seconds later. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Also, Cyclops' eye optical blasts. It's actually his eyeballs are portals to a different part of the universe that is
It's
constantly
just a
exploding.
force project. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
not actually
basically just
lasers. We
exploding
all
from.
thought it was lasers at the beginning, and then it never cuts through anything. It's just a force. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. Have you guys? This is so random. Have you guys ever watched? There was. Do you know who Pete Holmes is?
Sounds
No.
familiar.
Maybe I
Okay.
was going to say, yeah, maybe.
Pete Holmes is a stand-up comedian who I think did early on college humor sketches of parodies of
Okay.
Batman, and then went on to have the Late Show after Conan's TBS show for like 2 years or a year. in which he brought those sketches over and did parodies of hiring and firing Street Fighter characters and hiring and firing X-Men characters as and it was just like burrowing into the stupid logic of the powers. Like with Cyclops, what happens if your sunglasses get knocked off? What are you? You're just gonna wander around with your eyes closed the whole time? You're useless. You can't. You're supposed to be the commanding general. How can you give orders if you can't see the battlefield? Like, yeah. If you have not watched those, highly recommend. They're on YouTube.
I think I've seen them. I think now that you explained the premise, I'm like, oh, I think I've seen those on either TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, something like that. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. That was fun. I get to make fun of you guys now, right?
Roast.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Roast.
All right. So, Joe, with the owning of the company. That is what you said, right? You own the company.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Prior to this experience, you did not own the company. Is that correct?
Yes.
Prior to the switch. Okay, cool. So you automatically go into owning the company. You didn't specify structure, but if we're putting it, do you want to put a name on the position that it is within the structure, or is it just literally owner as a vague term?
Just the owner. I am not the CEO. I'm not the president of operations.
Okay.
I am just the owner.
The owner. Cool. As the active owner of this mega richest corporation place, you still now have to work as the owner in the puzzle solving, yes and no, question answering, meeting holding, talking to board members that is required to keep the company at where it is in order to maintain the wealth that you have, which means you are the exact opposite of retired.
I mean, okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm not changing out sinks and unclogging toilets. Like
No, 100%. I'm just like you're go. That's you're 100%. But there is a reason why the owners of the biggest corporations in the world only sleep 4 hours a night. Like there's a you're like there's the thing of like everyone has 24 hours in the day, but they're not same 24 hours. You have a bunch of leverage in those 24 hours, but everything within 20 of those 24 hours demands your immediate response right now, yesterday. And without that, any choice you make could tank your stock and devalue everything you now own.
Okay. Also, quick question: are you the same age that you are now?
We're making these wishes right now in this moment. So we're going from who we are in this moment to the wish becoming true.
Okay. So you would still be the same age.
Exactly.
Okay, running this company. Got it.
I'm a big fan of the Wolverine powers. I think logicking your way into the fact that adamantium is not one of Wolverine's powers, but is an after effect, ruins the fact that you don't have to be in physical pain the whole time. That would have been my comeback, but you already solved that issue. So you get rounds for that. Good job. I applaud you for holding on to your third wish. Would you like to describe what happens to the genie when his wish does not get to be used?
I feel that so now
this is your because you're also immortal, right? So now you're basically not dying. Yeah, unless your head gets cut off and separated in a separate jar.
So my own monkey's paw, as we were going through this, I was like, ooh, but that could turn out to be a bad thing. One, Wolverine heals all physical ailments, but that doesn't say that he doesn't. In the comic books, he doesn't have scars. But who's to say in this universe? Yeah, I get shot in the face and my face is all messed up, and then it heals. Who's to say that doesn't create scars?
Right? No, you would have thousands of years of PTSD.
Yeah, well that.
Oh yeah.
That too.
I mean, he already does have thousands of years of PTSD.
One of his story arcs was, though, that the reason he can't remember his past is because his healing factor took over for that. and because his past was so traumatic and gave him PTSD, his brain made him forget it. Thus,
That is actually that's the same logic with like why we have blackout spots from trauma. Like it's the same idea.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you don't build the coping mechanisms from that trauma.
alcohol. That's the monkey's
You
fault for
can't
Wolverine.
you can't get drunk.
Wolverine can't get drunk.
Yep.
He cannot get drunk.
That means all the whiskey
Oh,
drinks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all the whiskey and drinks and the cigars that he smokes are purely for character presentation. They have no effect on him.
Yep.
Oh, that
He's
would have
never
been
been
my
drunk.
monkey's paw for you then.
Yep.
I would have been like, oh, you can't get drunk, homie.
Or
But I would
high.
also say, with keeping the genie around, the genie ends up. It starts to turn into kind of like a Norman Osborn thing.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
You could talk to me and make
Yeah,
me
through
go
like
totally
seeing you in the
crazy.
mirror and just yeah.
Yeah, that's how I would. That's how I
Ooh.
would write.
I like that. Awesome. All right, Sally.
Furiously writes down his DM. Three wishes. If they do this, this is what happens.
Yep. All right, Sally. You had your. I'm not your first wish was, if I remember correctly, that your parents get to be taken care of and safe.
Yes. Mhm.
Did you? I believe. Did you imply that it's financially taken care of and safe, or just in general safe?
Yeah, I mean, I said my dad can finally retire. You know, they get to kind of not worry about money. So,
Awesome.
and correct
Cool,
me
cool,
if I'm
cool.
wrong on that, but I think that's what I did specify. So.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
just I'm giving you I'm taking you at your word. That's fine. Okay, so uh um interesting. What and so you have this wish that goes through and immediately your dad does not have to go into work. More than that, is not allowed to go into work. Is he aware of it? He didn't make the wish.
Ooh.
So does he suddenly enter in like a what is the Wonderful Life where like he think
Oh
like
yeah.
so he goes into like go to work and no one remembers him, or like he can't get in as bad, like is he suddenly having a really bad identity crisis? Then like
Well, so he works with my brother, so I think immediately he would be like, he would call Joe and be like, "Hey."
oh, you were here as a witness, so you would know about the wish. That would work. Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, that
he would
solves
be
that.
freaking out a little bit, but I don't think it would be too bad.
Okay.
And see, my monkey's paw with that is that dad doesn't have to go to work because he's retired. Mom's retired. They end up killing each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. That was the next one I'm going to. What interests, skills, hobbies, things to keep themselves occupied do they have trained up at this moment?
Gardening is a big one. Both of them are really into gardening.
So let's put it this way: if they don't kill each other, mom kills dad and makes him into fertilizer.
uses him as fertilizer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those you're here a lot now scenarios.
Yeah.
I get that.
You're still here?
Yeah, but I think
Really?
I think mom would get out of the house more if dad was in the house more. So
That's funny.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also pose that as a philosophical question to anyone posing what retirement's supposed to be in the future. Because a lot of us look at it like, yeah, we don't have to go into this forced thing anymore and get to do what we want. If you have not worked on things you enjoy doing or know how to do by the time you're there, it's too late to start. You're gonna, and it's not true. It's never too late to start something new. But the part of trying stuff you suck at and enjoying that experience is that it takes a long time for what's the version of what's in your head to come out in real life as manifested. And if you start at that process when you're 65, the level of frustration and quitting is going to be real high. So just
Oh yeah.
for anyone wondering, this is part of why you stay curious your entire life. Learn new things. It's not that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's that literally, if you stop teaching an old dog any dog tricks, they stop learning the capacity to learn new things. So don't do that. All right. So you're based on your first wish. You have a possible murder in your hands. And your second wish is the same but separate wish for your brother. Okay. you and your dad work together? Is that a
Yeah.
full-time thing, or is that how's that work? What do you guys do?
It started off part time when I was working at a comic book shop. I would
Oh,
help him out,
sweet.
and then it turned into full time because I'm not going to talk shit about that comic book shop. But yeah, I was not having a good time.
Yeah.
But we do maintenance on assisted living homes for mentally challenged adults
Okay.
and old folks.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's like I said, like it's basic maintenance on the house. Like I can't like rewire an air conditioner or like replace plumbing. Like
Mhm.
we leave that to the professionals. But it's fixing garbage disposals, replacing garbage disposals, fixing toilets, replacing toilets, stuff like that. So.
Okay. Is it just you two, or do other people work within an umbrella?
It's just us two doing the maintenance, and there's the whole company around us. But yeah, it's just basically us two in the truck riding around, putting out
Okay.
fires.
Fire.
Cool. So, in the span of 24 hours, both of you retire from that. So that place no longer has service?
Oh shit.
Oh,
Oh no.
oh, now I feel bad.
It sounds because it sounds like a job that's not just a job. It sounds like there's a strong level of purpose to that. So I'm just going to throw.
Yeah.
So right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw into the fact that the purpose behind that job is also no longer being taken care of. With that wish from Sally.
Damn.
Not from you. So Sally wished a situation in which your level of depression heightens.
Oh, bummer.
What was your third wish?
My third wish was that I get 150K in my savings account to use
Oh,
when I'm ready to just bounce.
I like that. I don't think there's much of logic in the way of that really sucking. You're not gonna live as long as me or Joe, so you don't have to worry so much about inflation. There is probably the chance that 150,000 goes a lot faster when you need it for the rest of your life than we think. But that is definitely a tomorrow you problem. So I don't think that's a big deal.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say of your three wishes, the collateral damage of your third wish, which was the most selfish. I want to say the first two wishes were so selfless and had so much collateral damage. The third wish is 100% selfish and actually minimizes collateral damage to a great degree. So
It's true. Yeah, I didn't want an obscene amount of money because of taxes, but maybe if I.
oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You would.
If
You
the
don't know
government
how.
know you got
Yeah,
it.
you don't know yet. This is tomorrow. You have until next April 15th to learn how to launder that 150K before the
Okay,
government can
okay.
find it. I'm gonna. Yeah.
I mean, we live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've seen a little bit of Breaking Bad. We can do some laundering somewhere.
Yeah. Have you opened a mattress store? That is apparently, I don't know if you know this, apparently a giant conspiracy that Sleep Country is a chain, not all mattress stores, especially independently owned, but Sleep Country is a franchise in which you buy in so you can launder laundry, because no one's ever in a Sleep Country to purchase a bed, but they don't go out of business.
Oh.
Right. It's also the gyms are very similar too. Have you guys ever watched Leverage?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm gonna send you a list of TV shows for you to watch so we can.
Here's your homework.
Leverage came up in the golden era of highly witty found family cable TV shows. It is the bad guys playing good guys in heists every episode of the week, robbing for the rich, giving to the poor type of situation. And there was an episode in which they do it by running cons on bad guys to but there's one con in which they house a laundering machine that they refer to as a bank, but that bank is a gym with no members, because anytime they just need an influx of bank cash, they just add a person to their membership roster, and only 10% of members actually go to a gym. So basically,
Yep.
the conspiracy theory is that Sleep Country is the non-exercise people version of that. You can just pretend you sold a mattress with doctoring the books, and no one will ever know.
Huh.
What?
Yeah.
Well, it makes total sense. That makes
Yeah,
total
now I know how to launder my 150K.
If you, it's also, I would argue it looks more shady when you're like on the corner of a block and say, "I have mattresses for sale." That looks like, oh, you sell drugs out the back of that. That's.
Yeah.
I also learned through most TV shows that the entire high art community is just a whole industry of hiding your cash, because you're insuring the value of your purchases, and that's now your cash.
Yep.
I can
Yeah.
see that. Yeah, I can
Awesome.
definitely see that.
Learning so many things today.
Right, that was a fun game that literally took a half hour. I really enjoyed that.
I did like that.
That was fun. Yeah.
You talked about your guys' fandoms and like comparing like Harry Potter and like Star Wars and whatnot. You don't know this. Anyone who's ever heard me talk about my nerdom knows this. My nerdom is not tied to a specific fandom, although I have tropes and like ideals that draw me into things. My nerdiness comes from the social curiosity standpoint. So it's being inspired by someone else's passion or seeing a thing and wanting to recreate it for myself. That is where my nerdiness comes from. And the more I dive into that, the more I realize it's not that I'm a fan of Marvel or DC, or that I'm a fan of sports or a fan of comic books. It's that all of these things create social hierarchy, drive, passion, interest in bettering myself. I am not as you mentioned, converted Catholic. I am a devout, moral and what's the word? Standing of right and wrong protagonist through Batman and Superman. Those are the people that taught me, and specifically the MCU's Steve Rogers taught me not what right and wrong is, but what you do when confronted with trying to figure out what right and wrong. Within that, I am not actually a big fan of Star Wars. I don't not enjoy Star Wars. Here's this is the thing that my wife and I get flack for this. We're also not huge fans of Harry Potter. And I'm gonna say, even before there was like controversy about Harry Potter,
Right. Yeah.
we were already not really fans. I read all the books and I fell out of fandom with the movies. I enjoyed the books at the time I was reading because that was the age I was supposed to be reading them, I think. And then like Lydia went to read them as a full-fledged adult with like full-fledged beliefs and understandings of things, and I'm like, this is extremely problematic. It's the type of problematic you don't realize as a kid, and then you either cling to it and don't care, or like you learn and it's what is it within those two fandoms that you think draws you to them? As someone who has seen all of it, but not felt the compulsion that I get from other nerdy things, what is it that draws you to them?
I'm gonna let Joe go first, just in case his computer dies.
Fair.
So with Star Wars, one, it's nostalgia. I'm a huge I love sci-fi, but it's the nostalgia of just being a kid, and this was probably one of the first things that I saw that was like, wow, like this isn't like Star Trek, which is kind of like a utopia. Star Wars to me is it feels lived in and beat up, and it just seems more real. And the fact that it's not just sci-fi, it's actually more of a fantasy.
It is. I agree.
Takes
I don't
place
argue
in
fandom
different
because
planets.
it's completely subjective, but I classify Star Wars as fantasy with spaceships.
Yeah.
Because for me, sci-fi requires at least the exposition of how stuff works.
Yeah.
So if you can if you wave away the technology, it's magic, not technology.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's basically what the Force is until they added midichlorians. Crushed on it. Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it's that, and the fact that now I've grown up with these characters. The original Star Wars, that was the first trilogy, was not my generation, so I was living off other people's like what they enjoyed. And then growing up, when I was a kid, I didn't have Star Wars. All I had was the three movies, and then the Ewoks movie, and those weren't very good. But and then the fact that we got a subpar trilogy that got better when I was started when I was in high school and a young adult, and loved them simply for the fact that they were Star Wars. I again forgot about some of the loopholes and mental gymnastics, and then now being an adult, um, loving the sequel trilogy. I again just love it for the fact that it's Star Wars. These characters now I get to see them as old, and grew up with some of the other characters. Yeah, like that's
That makes sense.
it's like one of those things. I don't know why I love it. I just do.
But no, again, I'm not. That's why I'm not trying to equate one thing as better than the other. I just because I have the same thing with Ninja Turtles and Batman and Superman and Power Rangers. Like I have that sensation with nostalgia, but I never, as a kid, I never latched on to the three original movies the same way. My favorite of the three is still Return of the Jedi. And then I actually liked when they came out the prequels more than the original trilogy because I wasn't into the nostalgia, and I felt I got more of an explanation of the world in those movies.
Yeah.
And I for being good or not good movies, I enjoyed the new trilogy the most because I felt that from a storytelling standpoint, it required the least outside of the nostalgic characters to buy into from an adventure standpoint. The series wise, I love the Mandalorian, and I think the reason I love the Mandalorian is it didn't have the expectations of being a previous character. The Obi-Wan series was great, and you could argue objectively better than the first season of Mandalorian, but I liked Mando first more because it gave me what I thought I wanted from Boba Fett series without the expectations of it being Boba Fett.
Yeah. Love that.
Awesome.
All
Sally,
right, I'm gonna kind of like copy Joe a little bit. I think it's the nostalgia for me, especially with the Harry Potter series. I read the first book when I was in second grade, I do believe, and saw the second movie when it had come out. We went on a field trip because we had just finished the second book in school. So, I definitely was the same age, if not around the same age as Harry Potter and those characters as I was getting older and as she continued to write the books. So I legitimately kind of grew up with these characters. And of course, as an adult, as your wife did when she reread, you definitely find the issues in the books. But it's just the fact that I got to grow up with them and kind of go through what death means with these characters and learn about all the different types of like growing up, with them, and knowing that you're not the only person going through like these specific things. You get to kind of relate to these characters because you're going through the same stuff. So I love it. I know that J.K. Rowling is problematic, but I celebrate the art from the artist, and I'll still sport my Hufflepuff stuff out in the world and kind of just have, and that opens up conversations with people to where it's like, like, why do you like Harry Potter so much? And it's like, well, it's like that. Basically, at the bottom line, it was a good story to tell, and I think that she had a lot of good. What am I trying to say? Like messages that she was trying to convey. Reading it as an adult, maybe those were a little skewed a little bit, but
yeah, I get that. I do think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's why I didn't resonate with Star Wars the same way a lot of people did when they first came out. Like I think the Star Wars is a collection of movies that identifies with post-pubescence in a way. Like it's the hero's journey, but it's like if you watch it it's an ensemble, but I think if you watch it from the perspective of Luke's journey, you're watching someone that's like junior, senior year of high school and thinks the world's in front of them, and what does that mean? and I think I watched the first movie and then all of them before I knew what puberty was. So there was a level of boredom that I think I couldn't relate to, because and then I'm in middle school watching the prequels, and there's a lot of political drama that when I go back and watch, I go, this doesn't need to be 3 hours, but I actually enjoy this more because my head is like, oh, this is interesting. um, but also, I didn't have the same nostalgia grab, so the emotions weren't as high. Uh, uh, like for example, a lot of people talk about how the Phantom Menace doesn't need to be watched. Uh, in there's like different ways to like watch the whole Skywalker saga, and one of the things is which order do you put them in, right? Uh, to get the story of character arcs in the best way possible. Or do you watch them the way they were released? Do you watch them from beginning to end? And there's one that's like that starts with you watch 4 and 5, and then watch 1, 2, and 3, and then watch Return of the Jedi. And that made sense to me. But there's also a version of that in which you don't watch 1. You start at Attack of the Clones, and I think that's stupid. Because the movie, the story plot that doesn't need to, you don't need the political intrigue part of it 100%. That's what makes that movie have a beginning, middle, and end. But the through line of plot, the character growth of that movie is, in my opinion, how wrong the Jedi were as a recruiting class. Of why they had rules of you can't take someone past a certain age made sense when you realize you're kidnapping people for a child army. Like that's the same. Zordon has the same issues. I'm not throwing shade, but when you're breeding an idealism of non-attachment, and you taking someone away, either prepubescence or like as a fully formed adult makes sense, because either they can rationalize things and attachments they don't want, or make the freedom for themselves, or they don't have attachments, so they don't know to be attached. When you're in that middle emotional ground, and you say, we're taking you from your mom, who's the only thing you care about right now in the world, and we're going to treat you to not have emotions and not care about your mom, which is the only thing that, like, that moment of him being taken away, not forcefully, is not actually better or worse than him being forced to work for someone else in a way because it's their only option. And so his turn from the dark side is not corruption from the higher, like the Siths. It's the corruption of anger from not being allowed to love his mom when his mom was the reason he had the opportunity to become a Jedi in the first place. So that doesn't need to be a 3-hour movie. You just need like the 25-minute like overlay of him being a child and that experience, which explains him murdering a bunch of people in their huts in Attack of the Clones. Like that totally makes sense. Anyway, my point is like all that I enjoy, but I was at the wrong point in my emotional journey in hitting the movies of Harry Potter and in Star Wars to get that style of fandom from them.
Yeah, for sure. I understand
love that.
that. And I think that's why I don't really like do the Star Wars thing, and I think that's why Joe doesn't really do the Harry Potter thing. It was just different times in our lives that we
100%.
Only emotional response from Harry Potter is Neville picking up the sword of Gryffindor and challenging he who shall not be named, and I'm like, yes, for all the fuck ups out there.
Yeah.
You're doing it, man.
Yep. 100%. Love it. Would you like to give yourself, everyone, all single digits of people that are listening and watching this in the future, rename yourself, your podcast, give yourself your props so that I can tag it at the end of the episode before your computer dies.
All right.
Do you want me to just do an intro?
Yeah, I was going to say, just do the intro. That's fine with me.
Well, no, I don't know. Well, we're Much Ado About Nerding, a Brothers Sister Nerdcast discusses everything from Hufflepuff hierarchy to Salacious Sith, and everything in between.
All of it.
Yep, I'm Joe, player 1, and
I'm Sally, player 2.
Awesome. Where can they find you?
uh, wherever
Anywhere
you
podcast.
find, we use Audible. I know the other one.
Audacity?
Audacity. There you go. We use Audacity, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Pod, like we're on everything.
Some of our
Awesome.
episodes are also on YouTube, so check out our YouTube channel.
Yay!
Still trying
Which-
to get that started.
Yeah. We can, if you want to nerd out about that, that's the journey I'm on. We can do that off air. That's exciting.
Heck yeah.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I just had a fantastic, lovely time talking to you guys. I don't know what you expected. This is what I expected. This is